Today, I'm going to talk about journal clubs, what it is, how do you prepare for it, and how do you present it. So, what is a journal club? A journal club is a session where a group of people, clinicians, researchers, students sit together and discuss one journal article. So, there are several goals to this. 1. Learn how to critically analyze or appraise a journal article. Number 2. Get to the forefront of evidence. If you are a clinician, you want to learn about evidence-based medicine. 3. Be part of the scientific discussion. So, preparation stage. The question I get all the time is, how do you choose an article, or what type of article? The first criteria is to choose a primary research article, not a review article. This is because you want to be able to discuss the methods, results, and discussion of the paper, and the review paper does not have any of these components. The second criteria is to choose something you're interested in and that you can learn something from. The third criteria, understand who your audience is. Clinicians, are they basic scientists, maybe they're mixed, and be sure to discuss with your supervisor to make sure that the article is appropriate for the audience. One of the big mistakes I made when I was a renal fellow was that I chose a mouse model study for a journal club, and I had no background knowledge about that. And my audience were mainly clinicians, and so we had a hard time understanding the paper, and so it wasn't a very meaningful discussion. All right, next step. Read and critically analyze the paper. We also call this step critical appraisal. So what does it mean to critically appraise a paper? So you want to know 4 things. What is the aim of the study? Can you trust the method? Can you trust the results? And then what are the results? Finally, how can you use the results? So I'm going to give the overview here because I will be talking much deeper as we talk about the presentation stage. And as you're reading the paper, be sure to also read other articles that can supplement this research paper. For example, make sure you read the supplementary materials or look at the protocol paper that has been published about this paper. That's because oftentimes the details of the methods and results are either in the supplement section or in the protocol paper. I know conducting a research project is an overwhelming process, so I made the idea to paper blueprint for you. This blueprint takes you through a 7-step process from idea generation to paper submission, so be sure to get a copy by clicking a link below. Next, let's talk about the actual presentation. Typically, journal clubs are presented using PowerPoint slide. And before you even do the actual presentation, be sure to send out the journal article ahead of time so that the audience can read it. But also do understand that some may not read it, so your presentation needs to have enough information that people who have not read it could understand your presentation. As you present your journal club, make sure you go in this order. First, the introduction, then methods, results, and discussion. Don't mix them up. I've seen this mistake done many times, people jumping back and forth, sometimes intro, sometimes back into the results. Your audience are usually used to the same structure, so when you go back and forth, it's very confusing. So the first section, the introduction. Make sure you talk about what the study aim is, what has been done before, and why is it important. The next one, the methods. Spend the most time here, because this is where you determine whether you can trust the results or if you can use the results. Some questions you should be asking yourself. Does the study design answer the research question? Who is the study population? What's the inclusion and exclusion criteria? Are they appropriate? Any selection bias? Next, think about the definition. How do they define the outcome, the intervention, or the clinical condition? And then, the outcomes. Are they clinically important? Or are they just surrogate outcomes? Then look at the data. What type of data did they collect? How did they collect the data? Any issues when they were collecting the data? Next, the statistical methods. Here, you will need basic understanding of different types of methods. Briefly, you need to make sure you describe the descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. And finally, look at if they have used other ways to limit certain biases. Next, the results section. Here, make sure you start by talking about the sample. Describe the sample. Look at the demographic table. And when you are presenting, present findings from both the figures and tables, and also from the main body of the results section. So when you read the main body, it's really to get the interpretation of the results. As you're going through the tables, also make sure you look at the margins of error. That means look at the confidence intervals and the p-values. Are the results statistically significant, or are they clinically significant? Next, the discussion. How did the authors link their study findings with other studies? Do other studies support their finding or not? If not, why? What is the implication of the study? What's next? Then, limitations. Here, think about limitations in terms of limitations inherent to the study, limitations regarding the study population, maybe limitations regarding the sample size. Also look into how the authors try to overcome their limitations. One extra way to add flavor to the discussion section is also to look at editorials or other papers that have cited this particular journal article. Finally, ask yourself, can I use it? What's the generalizability of this paper? Can the study finding be used to other population? Another question is applicability. That means, can the study results be used for my own patients? Final tips. Number 1, make sure you spend enough time reading the paper and understanding the paper. I would read the paper at least 2 or 3 times, look at the results properly. And then in terms of presentation, especially when it comes to tables and figures, do not just copy and paste the whole table and put it into the presentation, because usually it becomes way too busy. So if there are certain parts you want to highlight, crop them and enlarge them. So there you go. This is how you prepare for a journal club presentation. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. I'll see you in the next video.